Hello, sippers. I'm Martia.
I'm Demetrius.
And I'm Renee.
And welcome to today's episode of Sip and Unwine True Crime Podcast. Hey, ladies. Hey, sippers.
Hey.
How are y'all doing today? Tonight?
I'm usually good, but today I'm a little cranky.
Oh,
why?
But I'm not gonna.
Do you care to talk about it?
Well, it's just traffic, dealing with people, and I need that moment to wind it down, like all the way down, like a vacation somewhere.
Oh, okay. Well, this is not quite a vacation, but hopefully you'll do a little bit of unwinding and sipping over the next few minutes or an hour, however long it takes us. Hopefully that'll help.
I hope so. Just hearing you, the voices on the other end, y'all make me feel a little bit better.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can take you away for a little bit.
Take me away.
Yeah,
Calgon.
like Calgon.
Exactly. Renee, how are you doing this evening?
Girl, I am good. I don't know if y'all know, but on last episode or second to last episode, I don't know, it's a few weeks ago that I was telling you guys about my water heater being busted all up and through this house.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
good. That's great.
I'm good now.
Yeah, that's beyond good. That's excelente, girl.
Exactly, because nobody wants to deal with the headaches that come along with home ownership.
Exactly. And water will mess up your whole existence in your house. Oh my God, so much damage and stuff. So I was just hoping that it didn't just burst, which it didn't. It was just leaking.
That's
and it stayed leaking until the plumber came to fix it. But still, I had to stay up on top of it and make sure it didn't, get out of hand.
Right.
With the buckets and stuff. But I had my whole life, well, not my life, but my past life down in the basement, where you put all your stuff that you don't know that you have.
We lost you, Renee.
I was wondering, was it just me?
We lost
Renee.
her. She's gone.
Oh, wow.
I think the aliens got her. They are here.
Hopefully they'll bring her back, at least for the next 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, she is like really gone.
Exactly. Like, did the phone drop? And we're not even on a call, but that's what this reminds me of, the phone dropping.
Oh no, she said her electricity went out.
What?
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Oh no.
Did somebody have an accident over there and hit a transformer or something?
Oh no, like when she was just talking about home ownership.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Let me respond. We are here.
Where did you see that at?
Okay, she said it's back up in our group chat.
Oh,
it's back up, but it will take a minute.
What? That's crazy.
I told you the aliens got her. I told you.
Right.
She said, and my leg up, and it just went go.
Oh, wow. All right, ladies. So what is everyone sipping on tonight?
So I will go first because I am very proud of myself.
Okay.
All right.
I am drinking on a lemon drop that I have tried to perfect in my home because I usually don't make mixed drinks at home. But, I've been ordering them a lot when I go out. And I'm just like, why am I paying $12, $14 for one drink when I can, make it here at home? And it's really simple because, YouTube shows you everything.
Right. So, YouTube University.
Yeah, right. So it's just vodka, triple sec, which I had to go out and buy, and some simple syrup and lemon juice. So I'm just like, I can do that and mix it up. So so I'm just trying to perfect the vodka sugar ratio. I made it too kind of strong before, and too much lemon juice. I need to make it a little more sweeter for myself, but I'm getting there. I'm proud.
What are you drinking on, Demetrius?
Okay, y'all. I came home. I told you I'm stressed out. So I had found me a little concoction to make. It's called Call Me a Cab Lemonade Vodka Wine Cocktail.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow. It has Cabernet Sauvignon. I'm trying to say it how the French say it. Okay, don't play with me.
Okay. Fancy.
And it has vodka and lemonade.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
it sounds good.
I don't think I mixed enough right, but oh well.
That does sound. Both of y'all drinks sound good, actually. But Demetrius, your drink sounds like if I were to drink it, it sounds like a hangover waiting to happen with all the things.
Yeah,
All them
you gotta.
extras.
I need you
Yeah.
to call me a cab. It's called Call Me a Cab. I'm gonna make that for y'all.
I
It tastes
guess it's
pretty
call me a
good.
cab for a reason.
Call me a
Right.
cab.
All right, ladies. So I'm drinking on something real light tonight. A little wine cooler called
Oh,
Mango.
boo. Just a
Don't
wine for
boo.
you?
Don't boo my drink.
For you? Wow.
It's a mango peach wine cooler made by Monaco Cocktail. It's a brand,
Hmm.
and it's actually 9% alcohol, and it contains vodka. So
You said 1%?
now you know
Not,
better
oh,
than
nine.
that.
Okay.
Nine
Ooh, you
percent,
Nine?
know
That's
better than to
high.
say
and
1%.
right, and it contains vodka. So before you boo,
Oh, yeah. That's actually higher
it
than
ain't even bad. Yeah,
that's higher
usually
than the
wine
wines that
coolers
I've
be
been
like
drinking.
5%.
Right. So you're doing
So
better than me. I didn't even know they had
yeah.
wine coolers that had that much alcohol
Mm,
content. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
9%. Hmm.
I
yeah.
don't feel alone then. My vodka is really popping.
Yeah, so all of us might be a little tipsy by the end of this
Mm-hmm.
episode.
Exactly.
That's the
Wait
way
a
I
minute.
like it.
Okay, sippers. So today's case takes us back to the year 2005 and to the town of Raleigh, North Carolina. And this is the unsettling case of Monique Berkeley. The victim in this case is her 46-year-old husband, Paul Berkeley. So throughout the story, I'll be using the first names of everyone mentioned because y'all know the last names and pronunciations, all that just kind of
Mm-hmm.
throws me off.
Yeah, me
So,
too.
sippers and ladies, I'll be using the first names. So, hopefully, y'all can keep up. In 1999, Monique was a teenager still living at home with her parents in Florida. She was around 19 years old, and just like many other teenagers during that time, she was spending her time online in various chat rooms and in different internet groups, mixing and mingling with all the other people who were on the internet. In one of those chat rooms, she met a woman named Marky Montgomery, who was from California. Monique began a long distance love affair with Marky, and a few months after they began their relationship, Monique went out to California to actually visit and meet Marky for the first time in person. Their connection was so strong that Monique ended up relocating to the West Coast shortly thereafter. A few months into the relationship, the couple had a commitment ceremony and they stayed together for around 6 months after that. In the spring of 2000, Monique met 40-year-old Paul Berkeley, who was a Navy veteran and a divorced father of two. Paul had met Monique's wife Marky, and all three of them had even hung out on at least one occasion at Paul's home. They were partying and drinking, just kind of getting to know each other. Shortly after the two women met Paul, Marky said that there was one night that Monique didn't come home, and when she finally did arrive home the next morning, she told Marky that she was leaving her and was going to be with Paul. So basically, after those 6 months of that whirlwind relationship that Monique had with her girlfriend or her wife, Marky, she just packed up her things and basically moved in with the guy that she hadn't known for too long. So Monique's relationship with Paul also moved pretty fast, and after a few weeks of dating Paul, he took Monique to his ex-wife's house and introduced her to his children. He actually introduced 20-year-old Monique as the kid's quote unquote future stepmom. About a year later, Paul and Monique got married. Even though there basically was a 20-year age difference, Paul had the support of his family and friends because they said Monique appeared to be way more stable than any of Paul's previous girlfriends. And Paul was known to his family and friends as kind of being like a little player. So they had met or had known about different women that Paul had in his life, and they felt like Monique was really the one. Even Paul's ex-wife was a fan of Monique. So a few years into their relationship, into their marriage, Paul's children moved in with the couple, and Paul actually re-enlisted in the reserves. The family relocated to Raleigh, North Carolina, so Paul could continue raising his children in a small, safe town. While Paul was at work and the kids were at school, Monique was getting settled into her role as a housewife. Her stepkids went on to say that Monique was actually a pretty good stepmother. She cooked, she cleaned, and she helped them with their homework. So they were really enjoying their time with Monique as a stepmom. Fast forward to 2005, and Paul was actually deployed out to Iraq. And during this time is when things started to kind of change with Monique. Monique began struggling with being at home alone without Paul. She kind of felt like she was doing all the work with the kids by herself. She had a hard time adjusting to the fact that, she had nights where she would have to go to bed without her husband. And there was even a time where I guess Paul had left some clothes on the floor before he left for his deployment. There was like a pair of jeans on the floor in the couple's bedroom. The stepchildren said that Monique would not let anyone move his clothes to the hamper, like put him in the dirty clothes hamper, because Monique wanted his things to stay exactly where they were. Ooh. That's how, right. That's how much Monique missed her husband when he was first deployed. And I don't know, I feel like that was kind of weird, but at the same time, because it kind of almost made me feel like that's something that maybe you might do if someone passes away or something like that.
Right. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
She's still around?
But she sound like she got a little touch of depression.
Yeah, probably so. Exactly. Because she was definitely having a hard time adjusting to him being gone. During the time that Paul was deployed, Rebecca, who was Paul's 16-year-old daughter, she started hanging out with two young men. One was named Andrew Canty and the other was named Latwan Johnson. And Latwan's name is spelled Latwon, so I pronounce it Latwan. How does that sound?
I was thinking Latwan.
Oh.
I don't know. I didn't want to call him Twan.
Wait.
Hey, Twan.
I did too. I was like Latwan too, but I don't know. Maybe Latwan is it.
No.
You put it together now?
That's right.
Maybe Latwan is it.
Let's try that one again then. She's acting like a bougie black girl.
Girl, how about I was like this whole time, by the time I found this case to the time I wrote it out, I'm like, man, Latwan is such a stupid fucking name. That's why I like to ask y'all, man. This is crazy. So Rebecca, Paul's 16-year-old daughter, started hanging out with two young men. One was named Andrew Canty and the other was Latwan Johnson. The two men were best friends and they both had a crush on Rebecca. Eventually, Rebecca did end up dating Latwan, but even that did not stop Andrew from tagging along whenever Latwan and Rebecca would hang out at her house. Andrew even spent the night at Rebecca's from time to time, and allegedly, Monique said she liked having Andrew around because she said it helped take her mind off of missing her husband, Paul. About 8 months later, Paul returned back home to North Carolina for a 2-week leave in December of 2005. Paul was so excited to be reunited with his wife Monique and his children for the Christmas holidays, but his homecoming was not well received. When Monique picked up Paul from the airport, he actually tried to kiss Monique, but she turned away and was acting awkward, according to their daughter Rebecca. When the family came home, Andrew and Latwan arrived to the home to hang out as usual, but Andrew was acting strange on this particular evening. Monique told her husband Paul that she had made romantic weekend plans for them and that they were going to spend the evening at the movies before heading to the local park for a date. And it's almost like Andrew's behavior might have been jealous or, maybe he wanted to try to intercept the date. I don't know. But they said he was acting strange on that night. So fast forward to a couple of days later, on December 18th at 3 a.m., the Raleigh Police Department received a 911 call, and it was Monique calling under distress, saying that both she and her husband had been shot at a park called Millbrook Exchange Park. According to the Raleigh News and Observer, Monique was sobbing and squealing as she was telling the dispatchers that she had been shot. At times during the recording, Monique's voice is barely audible over her husband's grunts and growls in the background as he was struggling to breathe. And get this, it was nearly 3 minutes into the 911 call before Monique actually mentioned anything about her wounded husband. And this was after she was prompted by the dispatcher. Isn't that crazy?
That's something fishy about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost like the dispatcher. Yeah, it's almost like the dispatcher might have heard him in the background and was like, okay, man, well, who is that in the background? Mm-hmm. But 3 minutes, especially during an emergency, that's a long time to not mention that you're not there by yourself. That's crazy. And he's struggling to breathe, struggling for his life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy. So during the call, Monique said that two men had come up behind them while they were sitting at the park, sitting there having a romantic dinner, and the two men shot them and fled on foot. And emergency vehicles, they were searching the park for Monique and Paul, but they only located the couple because of Monique screaming for help. It took them 15 minutes to locate the couple inside the park, but eventually help did arrive. They bandaged up Monique and they worked super hard to try to save Paul's life. Monique was shot in the shoulder while Paul was shot in the back of his head. Later that morning at the hospitals, the doctors took Paul off life support, so he didn't make it. And when they took him off life support, Monique and his children, his two children, were there by his side holding his hands. Meanwhile, the police were doing a search at the crime scene, and they did reveal that there was some 45 caliber shell casings that were found. There was a picnic basket with some wine and some candy still in it from, I guess, the date night. But they also know that Paul's wallet wasn't missing. So the investigators initially figured out it didn't appear to be a robbery gone wrong. They knew that there had to be something else with this crime besides a robbery. And they also said that the weather was terrible that night, and they began to immediately question why the couple would even go to the park at all that night. Monique actually had to be hospitalized for her injuries as well. And while she was in the hospital, the detectives, they went to interview her. And when Monique gave her account of the evening, she said they started off by going to the movies to see King Kong, and then they went to dinner, and then they went to the park for a romantic picnic. And basically, when the investigators asked Monique who might have known that they were going to be at the park, she threw out Andrew and LaTwan's name and said that those two young men knew that she was getting ready to have that date night with her husband. So she even told the investigators that LaTwan was her stepdaughter's boyfriend, and she described Andrew as being a troubled teen who had moved in with she and the children. And it wasn't long after she told the investigators all of that she did reveal that she was romantically involved with Andrew during the time that her husband had been deployed. So the investigators definitely knew, okay, yeah, there's definitely more to this crime than what we initially thought. So Monique told the investigators that she didn't intend to have a relationship with Andrew, but with her husband being gone and Andrew was always hanging out at the house, she said the affair just kind of happened. And I know that I mentioned earlier that Andrew was the friend of her stepdaughter, Rebecca, but his age was 18. He was 18 at the time that he was messing around with Monique.
And Monique was what, 20?
Monique was actually 26 by the time she started this affair. Because remember, this was a few years into her marriage with Paul. Yeah. So, and it's kind of crazy. I mean, if it was my son at 18, I would not approve of him dating someone that was 26, right? But he was actually closer in age to Monique than she was when it came to her and Paul. Just to do a recap, Monique started off running from Florida all the way over to California for some female she met online. Then she met Paul, who was older than her at the time, and she leaves that female and gets with Paul. And then to get her mind off Paul, she started dating a teenager.
Exactly.
So it doesn't say how old Andrew was at the time that the relationship started, but you know, he could have been 17, I don't know, but the fact that he was 18 when all this kind of transpired is just, that's crazy to me. So anyway, Monique and Andrew, they tried to keep the affair a secret, but eventually Monique ended up confessing to her stepdaughter, Rebecca. And she swore Rebecca to secrecy, and she ended up having Andrew move out of the house before Paul returned home before the holiday vacation. So, you know, she tried her best to not end it, but at least try to keep it a secret, but yeah, it's pretty crazy that she would put her stepdaughter in the middle of all that. And then the daughter has to hold that secret while her dad is home, coming home to see his family. So that's pretty crazy. But that also explains why Andrew seemed to be acting strange when Paul came back in town, you know, because he's not only looking at the fact that his little fling that he had, this is her husband, but also knowing that he probably knew at the time that he was going to be attempting to murder this man. It's crazy because I don't know how long before it happened that the Monique and Andrew put everything in motion, but
wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So with Monique doing this interview in her hospital bed and in the hospital, she was heavily sedated, you know, because of course she's being treated for her injuries, and this is when the authorities came in to talk to her. And so with her being heavily sedated, she was just running her mouth. So as she continued to confess the details of her affair, she ended up revealing a lot more than she initially anticipated. So Monique did end up telling authorities that her quote unquote romantic date with her husband Paul was simply a way to basically set up an ambush and have him murdered.
Oh God, she did a whole confessional on herself.
She did. Like, she just kept talking, and I guess being sedated didn't really help her. So she confessed.
Wow.
Yeah, so during the interview, she said that the plan was for her to be harmed so that it would divert the attention away from her. And during the planning of it all, Monique, Andrew, and Latuan, they also discussed that maybe they should beat her instead of shooting her in case something went wrong with the whole shooting part. So she went into the whole situation knowing that she was going to meet with some type of physical violence, but she just didn't know what it was going to be. So, like I said, they shot her, which is kind of weird because it was after dark. So the fact that they shot her in the shoulder or whatever, I wonder if they shot the husband and then stood around for a few minutes trying to figure out how to shoot her to where they didn't kill her or whatever. But
Yeah,
anyway,
picking the body part and be like, okay, wait a minute, do this
yeah,
one. Wait a minute, no,
exactly.
no,
Like,
no,
stand
no.
over there,
Yeah.
shoot from this angle, whatever. Like, I kind of was wondering like how that all went down because that's just crazy. But Monique tried to tell the investigators that she started having second thoughts when she went to dinner with Paul. And she even said in her statement that she professed her love for Paul and she decided to call it off. And she left the movie to call Andrew to actually tell him that she wasn't going to go through with the plan. And when Monique finally got to the park, she didn't initially see Andrew's car or Latuan's car, but she assumed that she had successfully called off the plan. So that tripped me out that she tried to act like, wait a minute, I need to get myself out of this. I called it off, but they still did it anyway. But girl, even if she was telling the police something that they would actually believe, she still was the person who set all of this in motion is what I'm thinking, when I was researching this case. It's crazy. So anyway, with all that being said, after this whole confession, they ended up arresting Monique in her hospital gown while she was still a patient at the hospital. And,
damn.
No, good.
Yeah, exactly. So when Andrew and Latuan were questioned by police, both of those men claimed they were out of town, but their alibis fell through once the police discovered their phone records, which placed them both in Raleigh that night. And along with checking phone records, police also seized several electronic devices. And on one computer that was used by Monique, they found that during the weeks leading up to Paul's murder, she was investigating Paul's life insurance policy, which was worth $500,000. There were also some statements that Monique had written down in her diary, saying things like she didn't want to be Paul's wife anymore. She wanted Paul dead.
And just be telling on themselves like, dang, shut your mouth if you don't do something like that.
Right. And why would you write that down? Like,
Right.
how do you write that down
So
about
stupid.
someone? Right.
Mhm.
And an autopsy report later revealed that not only was Paul shot, but he was also stabbed in the head.
Ooh,
Yeah.
damn.
Medical
Are
examiners.
you kidding me?
Right. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? So terrible. Medical examiners found a 1-inch deep stab wound near his right ear and temporal scalp that caused injuries to the brain and skull because the stab wound was so deep. And you know how Monique was trying to say that she changed her mind about the crime or whatever. No, because investigators also said that during the movie they went to go see, Monique went to the bathroom and she called Andrew and told him to meet her at the park. And Latuan was the actual driver that night. It's terrible that she tried to, like I said, lie, get out of it, and put that on these young men. And authorities also discovered that during their investigation, Rebecca, the daughter, she told her dad that Monique was having an affair. But Paul said that he suspected it anyway, and he was planning on divorcing Monique. So I'm not sure how Monique ended up finding that out because it could have been through the daughter, but I'm not sure. But when Monique got wind of Paul, preparing to divorce her, investigators are saying that that's pretty much what set the wheels in motion to make her go ahead and come up with that plot to have her husband killed. Authorities never recovered the murder weapon, but they do believe it was thrown in a river. They did say that a gun that was sold to Andrew was test fired at a Johnston County yard before the killing because they did find some shell casings that matched the ones found at the crime scene, but whatever gun that was sold to him was never found. But anyways, in 2007, this is when the different trials started. So in August of 2007, Andrew's trial began. And basically 8 days into the trial, Andrew just said, you know what, let's stop the trial. And he went ahead and just decided to plead guilty. And because he did a plea bargain, and that means that he was not going to face the death penalty. So Andrew stopped the trial. He decided to plead guilty. He did a plea bargain, which allowed him to not face the death penalty. So he was sentenced to life in prison.
It just amazes me. I'm gonna pause you one second. It
Go
just
ahead.
amazes me how they get to
I'm
go.
gonna take a sip.
I'm gonna do a plea deal to not get the death penalty. I'm gonna do a plea deal not to get 50 years. I'm gonna do a plea deal so I can get up for parole in 5 years. Like, how do you get to negotiate your time?
Because you really shouldn't get to negotiate the time.
The person that you kill can't go, hey, can you just kill me tomorrow at 3:15? No.
Exactly.
I'm so over these stories. Like, the justice system is crazy.
Right. It really is. And some of the cases, and not just the ones that we've covered, but just in general, it's like, man, you do such a disservice to the person who was murdered or killed, and also to the families who are looking for justice for their loved one. You know, it's so sad.
Especially if it's kids involved, like little kids. That's, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Latuan was also arrested in connection with the murder, and he also took a deal in exchange for information. So he ended up, and y'all know I love using the word snitch. That snitch ended up telling police that Andrew was the shooter, and Latuan just said he only joined in the plot for $70,000 of the life insurance policy that they were hoping to cash out on. You know, basically with Latuan throwing it on Andrew, he did plead guilty to second-degree murder charges and a conspiracy to commit first-degree murder in exchange for a 23-year sentence. And Monique, getting to her, she initially confessed that she did plot to have her husband Paul killed so that she could collect the life insurance money. But then later she changed her story and pled guilty to murder just so she could get life in prison and avoid the death penalty, which is, like you said, it's crazy. So she took a plea deal for first-degree murder charges. She got the life sentencing, and after she was sentenced, she actually broke down sobbing in the courtroom. Stuff like that really just throws me off. Like, what are you crying for?
Whatever. Like,
whatever. What are you crying for?
Are you crying because you're getting locked up?
Right, because you're caught.
Right.
Why?
Exactly.
Wow.
You took a whole life. Get out of here.
And then get this, Monique's mother also issued a statement. Her statement is, and I quote, "We can't imagine in any circumstances the chain of events that led to this tragedy. Monique has no history of violence and comes from a loving and caring family. We are truly saddened by Paul's death." And that is so crazy. I mean, I understand that people want to believe that their children didn't commit any crime or whatever when it comes to cases like this. However, when the evidence is there, the evidence is there. So to stand up there and try to take up for your child after they've been accused and found guilty of such horrible crimes or whatever, it always surprises me that as a parent, I have to say, I ain't speaking. No matter how I feel, right? If I'm gonna support my child or not, I'm not saying nothing out loud.
Right.
When all the evidence is pointing towards the fact that your child is probably guilty. So, but anyway, child, this was the case of Monique Berkeley and the horrible crime that she committed against her husband, Paul Berkeley. Instead of just saying, you know what, let me get a divorce and let me go live my single life.
That just seems so much more easier. I just don't understand that people go through this route just because they're about to get divorced or they don't want to go through a divorce, so they'd rather kill. Like it's somebody who, if you're about to divorce them, meaning like you kind of are over them or whatever your situation is, like why would you risk going to jail for the rest of your life?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And then to think that you're actually going to commit this crime, collect some life insurance money, and live happily ever after.
Yeah, that never works out.
Right. That really trips me out. Like, wow. You know? So, and I don't know about life insurance or how it works when it's time to cash out and there's a crime that was committed, because I kind of wonder, you know, I'm always curious about the kids. And Rebecca was 18 at the time of the crime and her brother was 16. So I wonder if life insurance does still cash out and maybe it's given to the children. I don't know, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then to think about the kids, it doesn't really, the articles that I found and the stories that I found, they don't really talk about Rebecca's relationship with the son. It does say that both kids liked her as a stepmother, but it mainly talked about her friendship and her relationship with her stepdaughter over the stepson, right?
Oh,
so
okay, yeah.
So the stepson probably was cool with her too, but it just mainly focused on her daughter's relationship or whatever. But I know that's got to be a terrible feeling that you became super cool with your stepmom, who ended up murdering your dad or having your dad murdered.
I know, and then you had her holding a secret though. and then
Right.
you end up killing her father. Like,
Exactly. And her boyfriend
wow.
was the getaway driver for the crime. Like this whole thing is just so sad and so crazy. I can't even imagine like your little boyfriend is the getaway driver, hoping to get some life insurance money from your father dying.
From your dad. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ugh.
pretty sick. So anyway, ladies, it is time to close the book on the case of Monique Berkeley and her two little young accomplices. Do y'all have anything else to add before we move on from this crazy story?
Bye,
No,
bitch.
that. Oh, yes, please. And enjoy your
Bye.
meals.
Right.
Your three
Whatever.
hot meals a day, please.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Wow.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're done with that, ladies. So, whew, that was a doozy. These love triangles, child. I mean, the true crime lover in me can't get enough of these love triangles and everything. But I tell you, each story is just so sick. It's like I don't ever know what to expect when I'm doing research on these little love triangle situations.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
They're
But yeah.
so they're all so unique though. It's crazy. Like you try to look for similarities, like between the killers, and you can't. They all just do something totally different and shocking.
Exactly, because I mean, these guys were like teenagers. Like this is
Yeah,
somebody's two little sons
yeah.
out
Your
here
whole
being
life is
grown,
gone.
spending
Yeah.
the night with this grown woman, having fun and partying with her. Because that's what they were doing. They were pretty much partying with her and her teenage stepkids. And like the 18-year-old kid is over there spending the night all the time. And then boom, they're all plotting to kill the man of the house. The man that they're living off of, by the way, because she's a stay-at-home mom slash wife while he's sending all his checks back over from Afghanistan or Iraq, wherever he was at. She having a good time spending that money and partying with them little young kids. Ridiculous.
Wow.
All right, so we're going to move over to our missing persons segment and highlight a case that I want to speak about tonight. All right, so today we're going to discuss the missing persons case of Francesca Leon and her 2-year-old son, Jonathan Diaz. Francesca Leon was born January 1st, 1996. She was living in Silver Spring, Maryland at the time of her disappearance, and she was 17 years old. She has a son named Jonathan Diaz, but both Francesca and her son have been missing since February 21st, 2013. Jonathan was 2 years old at the time of their disappearance. The mother and son were both residing at the 2900 block of Marlow Road. Family described Francesca as a light-complected Hispanic female with brown eyes and long black hair. She is 5'3" and weighs about 155 pounds. Francesca has piercings in her cheeks, upper lip, and ears. Jonathan is described as a light-complected Hispanic male with brown eyes and black hair. At the time of his disappearance, he was 2'9" and he weighed about 40 pounds. According to police, Francesca would be about 25 years old today, while her son would be 10. Unfortunately, there is not much more information available online about this suspicious disappearance. There is no information about who the mother and son last had contact with. There's no description about the clothing they were wearing, and I could not find any articles or interviews with her family or friends. But anyway, regardless of all of that, her family and those that do love Francesca and Jonathan, they deserve answers as to what happened to this young mother and child. And as always, I will definitely post some photos on our Instagram and Facebook pages. If anyone has information about Francesca Leon and Jonathan Diaz or their whereabouts, please contact the Montgomery County Police non-emergency number at 301-279-8000, and callers may remain anonymous. And that is it for our missing persons case for today. Hopefully the family will, get some answers.
Oh
All right,
man.
ladies.
I'm gonna say a prayer for him because I really hate that. He's little. I hate when little people go
Yeah.
missing.
Right, yeah, and like
Oh,
and like I said, I couldn't really find much more information about the circumstances. It's just that they both are missing, and the family just became alarmed because they hadn't heard anything from Francesca since she left the house or whatever. So anyway, hopefully they'll get some answers at some point. All right, so now, sippers, we're going to move into another segment called Take Another Sip, where we'll discuss something that really caught us off guard, it surprised us, or maybe it made us mad, or maybe it made us laugh. Either way, it made us want to take another sip. Okay, ladies, who has something to share with us this evening?
I do.
Uh
It's
oh.
Renee.
All right, Renee, what you got, girl?
Ooh, her stuff be juicy.
Okay, so in my searching for something strange, just to make me take another sip, I came across this story. The title of it is "A Man Steals Rings from One Florida Girlfriend to Propose to Another Girlfriend."
Mm.
So what happened is, I think it's Volusia County. I think that's how you pronounce the county. Volusia sheriff's detectives have an arrest warrant out for a thief who stole an engagement ring and wedding bands from his girlfriend in Orange City. This is in Florida, of course, Florida,
Wow.
and used them to propose to his other girlfriend in Orlando. His name is Joseph L. Davis. He's 48 years old, and he went by Joe Brown with one of the girlfriends, and Marcus Brown with the other girlfriend. And he's one, on the charge. So one of the ladies came forward and told police detectives that she discovered her boyfriend was actually engaged to someone else. She looked up her the fiance's Facebook page, and she noticed a photo of this girl wearing her rings. And it's a ring that she had from her prior marriage. So Buddy came and stole this girl's rings from her prior marriage and then took them to propose to somebody else. Because when she went to go check her jewelry box, she discovered that her rings were missing, and she seen it on, So yeah, so there were some other pieces of jewelry that was missing as well, like that belonged to her grandmother, some other heirlooms. And she said, totaled up to about $6,200.
How much?
$6,200.
Oh, wow.
Just in jewelry. Yeah. So they're looking for him. But the thing is that they didn't even know his real name, because he went by Joe Brown with one girl and Marcus Brown, and his name is Joseph Davis. So after one of the girls was able to, be a good detective online and stuff, they actually found his identity out. And that's when she went to the police. So they're still looking for him because Buddy is gone.
Joe Marcus got some nerve.
He is gone. So if you know about Joe Marcus, Joe Marcus Brown, whatever, call Crime Stoppers of Northeast Florida at 888-277-TIPS.
He out here stealing rings to propose to people. Like, what kind of life is he living?
From one of his girlfriends to propose to the other girlfriend, and the thing is that neither one of them had his name, like knew his real name.
Wow. And he's probably booed up with a different girl using a different name.
When I saw that, I was just like, man, I don't even want to laugh at it because it's not really funny.
Is that like a career for him now? Like,
he was plotting from the beginning, because if he told them fake names to begin with, he was already scamming. He was already starting that. It wasn't like, all of a sudden he just found somebody new and wanted to be with this other girl. But no, he told both of these girls 2 different names. So yeah,
that is so ridiculous.
If y'all see him,
that is crazy.
I will post a picture. I will post a picture on our Sip and Unwine Instagram page so you can see him, to make sure that you ladies out there do not get hooked up with him. He's a decent looking black man,
and you can't even tell his real name, because is that even his real name?
Well, his real name is Joseph L. Davis. They got it, from after one of the girls was on the internet and was able to find his name. And that's when she went to the police, when they found his real name and try to, get the
arrest
crazy. Out for him.
My goodness.
It really is some sorry people out here. Like,
right?
What in the world? And sometimes men, and I hate to just put it on men, but I'm going to just say it. Sometimes men be doing some crazy things against women to the point where I just feel like you really don't like women. Like, you really don't like women because of the things that you're doing towards women. You can't like women. Like, that's just crazy.
Like, why would you plot something like that? Like, that is bizarre.
It is.
Yeah.
And were these women, did it say if they were older? Were they older women?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
Oh,
the thing is that you actually get engaged with somebody and you have a fake name. So
that's
you weren't even planning on really marrying her. Like, you had no intention.
Yeah, that woman is emotionally committed to you now. Like, what the crap?
Yeah. Like, why even propose when you know good and well that you're not going to marry her? Because for one, you have a fake name.
Exactly. That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, that was definitely, I've actually taken about 2 or 3 sips while I was over here cracking up.
And the thing is, I have pictures of him, and I don't know where I guess since they know his real name, they was able to get pictures. So I'm thinking, did these girls take pictures of him? Because I mean, if I was scamming, you ain't gonna never catch me in a picture because I'll be like, no, I don't like pictures. You know, like,
Right.
oh no, I'll take
You
a picture
definitely
of you,
would have to sneak and get one. Like, take my
Yeah.
picture while I'm asleep, or else you ain't getting my picture.
Right. Like, you joker. So we'll see if he gets caught.
That just sounds so mean.
It is.
Right.
Oh my God.
It sounds mean, but we have been over here cracking up.
Giggling,
Like, I'm
right.
so sorry to laugh, but
I think I had to like absorb what he was doing.
Girl,
like, really?
Just trifling.
Yeah, pretty much.
See,
Wow.
I told you Renee be coming with these.
She do. Thank you, Renee, for that. Take another sip, because I took a few sips. Like, that's, I laugh, but all jokes
It's
aside,
crazy.
I feel so bad for the women because
I do
mean,
too.
they probably were in love with him. He's probably men who move like that are probably some of the best charmers. You know what I'm saying? So,
Exactly, because they turning it on.
Mm-hmm. It's terrible.
I mean, emotionally, you have me emotionally involved. She had to say yes. You know, like, yes,
of course,
you know, that's emotional.
Yeah,
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. Terrible. Wow. Well, anyway, thanks again, Renee, for that. Take another sip, ladies.
You're welcome.
So anyway, it's time for us to end our night together, ladies. The ending is always so sad for me.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, I really do miss being in person with y'all, but I have to admit that I still have almost as much fun with y'all on the whole Zoom situation, just like I did when we were in person. It's always lots of laughs and giggles when we are
behind the scenes.
Yeah,
you don't see the behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, out of all the footage that we have to sift through and edit, about 45 minutes of that footage is us laughing and giggling. So we have to cut that out. So, all right, sippers. So this concludes this week's episode of Sipping on Wine True Crime Podcast. Please make sure you share this episode with your friends. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms. And stay in tune with our pages so that you can be the first to listen to our new episodes that post every single Tuesday. And thanks so much for your support, sippers.
Every Tuesday. Yep. Check us out, www.sipnunwine.com.
Or sipnunwine@gmail.com.
Okay.
Hey. Get at us. And
our
DMs are always open.
Always open. Okay, ladies and sippers. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.